Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Um, right, I'm gonna get straight into it today. Been a long one. Yesterday was a a very short-lived stream. But we move. Where am I with this? Um yeah, so yesterday I briefly touched on my I guess autonomous loop, which is what I just had up on the previous screen. This here. I am going to go through this frameworks and kind of show you what it is that I have been doing. Let's see if as my previous live streams will show, and the general I guess direction and way that I've been framing my skills, my repo, my tools, my hooks, and everything in between, was kind of just to get the details ironed out of this for this particular framework, so that I can actually implement it and turn it into a loop that I was confident in. Number one, a loop that I'd actually tested each and every single module that went into this particular loop before it being built. Sorry for positioning of this. I'm feeling like I'm having to lean over just to talk. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working towards as I've been framing a few things. It was a bit of a slow start in terms of streaming this week. I took a few days just to kind of focus, test out Fable 5 and a few other things, just because I was working quite late. I was still progressing the projects that I'd showcased. And in that time, it allowed me to work and kind of push a few things forward that I needed to. As well as refine a few things off stream, just to kind of make sure that I've robustly tested them. Because as easy as it might look, just pressing record and kind of trying to work away, it's not my normal, I guess, evening working style, if that's for lack of better words. I'm used to kind of just putting my head down and cracking on with it and letting my mind kind of orchestrate things as the thoughts come. So yeah, pressing record and then having to talk through what I'm doing and remembering to actually narrate as I'm going along, it does naturally slow you down, because you're having to consider so many other things as you're working. It's not my style. So yeah, but you know, as we must step out of our comfort zones and whatnot. Yeah, so without further ado, this is kind of an overview, and I kind of want to talk through this. It's not just going to be a matter of, you know, just pitching this and presenting you with, you know, a flat image. I have got it running in the background on a couple of tasks that are kind of churning away in the back there. So as you can see within my Claude Code window, I've got nothing running at the moment, because I've just, okay, cool. So I was just in the middle of triggering a handoff. In fact, let me move I'm just moving my OBS screens out of the way just so that I can focus on this monitor for now. So you may not be able to see it at the moment, so bear with. I'm just about to trigger a handoff. And for those who know, and again, for those who don't know, this is just kind of my methodology with regards to token utilization, and yeah, just budgeting and making sure that I'm being frugal with my token usage and context best practice. So I'm just going to trigger the quick skill here just to hand off this particular session, just so that I can start a new session, run my cron deletes and whatnot, just so that it kills the whole scheduled task and whatnot within this particular window for any hooks or anything else that's kind of linked to those scheduled tasks that are running on the hour, every hour. at 11 past the hour. So to be fair, there should be one that's due now, but I'm just going to trigger handoff here. And then what's going on here? So freeze marker, anchoring ground. Okay, cool. So it's just doing its thing. Just making sure that it's got the right references and whatnot before it triggers that handoff. So we're going to get that done. Trigger the handoff. I think it's because it's probably not got anything spun up from a hook perspective. So committed feet, freeze marker cleared. This happened here. Where was the last freeze marker? Grader repair. Okay, there was an agent. There was an agent that was actually working on freeze script. We're doing all of this in real time, so all of the bugs and whatnot show in real time, and then obviously you'll be able to see my workflow in terms of how I approach certain things. So I'm just going to let this do its thing here, and we'll check back on it in a second. Okay, cool. Grounds the truth reconciled. Freeze marker is cleared, so that agent has given a pass in terms of being able to process this human triggered action and interrupt any kind of automated workflows that we're running. So it's going to create my handoff for me so that I can get away from this particular I guess session. I'll close it down and then we can enter a new session, and I can kind of have that running concurrently with me kind of going through what all of these tasks that you're seeing on the side are. So there's bash commands that are being run. You can see that there are agents that are being run to perform particular tasks and whatnot, and that's kind of what I want to showcase today, and then go through some other things, show you the whole frameworks, as I said, talk through it in a bit more detail. I always say I press record sometimes and I feel like, okay, cool, I've got all the energy in the world, I can stream for a few hours today. But we're just gonna have to just see how it goes. I want to at least get to a point where I go end to end with the whole orchestration. I've put a few of these skills up on GitHub as well. My link should be on the YouTube channel. So if you are interested in just having a bit of a deeper look in terms of how these skills are, I guess, written, and then you want to implement and customize and apply them to your own projects as well, by all means, feel free to do that. It's some of the skills are ones that I've picked up from Matt Pocock, and then ended up customizing just to fit my workflow a little better. That was the intention with that. And then with that, obviously you can then implement and make them more tailored to your code bases and workflows. Just bear with me. I am just quickly putting this out. Right, cool. So gotten that out of the way in terms of what I wanted to create there. I now want to quickly come off the right thing open there. I want things kind of muddy in the waters. Okay, brilliant. So the handoff is captured, it's written. So now all I need to do is start up a new session. So start a new session. And then obviously it's got sessions at the top that are pending action and whatnot, but I am currently working within this particular project, so I'll just tell it to continue from handoff this project. Cool. So you should know what to do with that, and I'm just gonna for this I want to work with Fable. And I'm going to talk about this quick pivot that I've just made. You might ask, oh, why are you running it in Fable? Part of the whole workflow that created, and the whole purpose of this as well, is just accelerating a few of my projects that had gotten kind of caught up in a bottleneck with me being an orchestration layer, because all of them were I was quite heavily hands-on with them. I was quite involved, just because of the nature of the way that I liked the nature in which I like to work within my code bases. I like to be quite heavily hands-on. I like to understand my code base from top to bottom. I'm not trying to one-shot anything. I'm not really in a rush to get a lot of the things that I'm working on out. And that's kind of the main reason there. So let me just, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to just quickly pivot back to this diagram, just so that we're not stuck watching an empty screen. Right, cool. So this is kind of, so this is the frameworks that I want to kind of go through, narrate, and kind of talk and guide you guys through today. And what is the actual framework? So this system is kind of taking all of my layers that my previous live streams were kind of walking through, in terms of building that best practice for with regards to handoffs, with regards to context management, with regards to implementing hooks, or the right hooks that I wanted to use, putting all of the right slice driven builds, creating a TDD framework with regards to test driven development, writing all of the rules at script level, just so certain things were repeatable, and again, to work better with skills and the hooks that were being built. So all of the rules and that sort of thing are standard for anyone that's kind of going into this, has been working within Cursor, using agentic workflows for a while now. Everyone within the space is currently talking about autonomous workflows, AI engineering frameworks, and developing using the loops rather than trying to prompt each and every single action, using loops, scripting things instead, just so that you've got those steps and frameworks that are just kind of repeatable, iterative actions, so that each and every sprint of work or vertical slice of work, however you want to divide it, is repeatable until you get to a shipped product. It helps with context management. It helps with shipping, swappability of things, easier debugging, and it creates a bit more structure and a better audit trail, so that you're not trying to just blast something in one shot, get to the end of it, you're not happy with it, you end up being stuck. And that's happened to me maybe a couple of times with things where I've started off using the right frameworks, and then I've been pulled somewhere else, or my mind's gone somewhere else to work and focus on another project. I've ended up trying to kind of think, okay, cool, I'm halfway through this one, let me just amp up the autonomous actions, let the agent go crazy on it, I'll pick it up, and it's a mess. Don't know where to start with regards to unpicking it, and then it ends up kind of just discouraging me to continue with that particular build. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get away from here. And stream is going to be centered towards that. So so the system itself is built to write production code on its own. It picks the tasks obviously within the frameworks that are written. It writes its own failing tests, builds until they pass, and then ships on 2 clocks. I can run it, and I've got all the wake up loops built in into all of that. So that's kind of what I'm gonna talk you through today and show you in real time as well, just because they're starting away in the background. So I'll just quickly open this up now that you can see. All right, so let me just get rid of this. Hopefully you can see those items in the back. Yeah, so as you can see here on the top right hand corner, I've got two background tasks that are running. And zoom in here so you've got better visibility of what's going on here. So I've got two background tasks that are running. Three background tasks now that are running with an agent that's just recently finished something. So I've got a fast clock, fast cron session that's running, and cron session that's just a scheduled task that's running a particular action on the hour every hour. So that runs my wake up, and then I'll talk you through some of the inner items that it's running, some more of my iterative agents, where, let's say for example, my build agent, my planner, my scrape agent, that kind of thing, anything that's kind of an iterative task that's reversible, is not really high risk, and again, there's governance around all of these things that make all of the actions or all of the code that are actually built by these agents done in a way where I can divert just through proper repo management, following correct branch structure within my repo, so that it's not kind of doing things that are uncommitted, or there's a messy tree within my repository or project repository and whatnot. These are all things that are being done in a well-governed environment. I've then got a slower clock that's running alongside this. It's ticking at the same time, but this is running every 3 hours. It's running on a 3-hour cycle. So that's now for my look ahead tasks. It's for my audit trail task. It's more for my so there's also an orchestration layer in here that's monitoring forks or decision points that are critical to the system that I'm building, to where I don't want the agent or the LLM or the model to actually make that decision for me. I need to be prompted. So I've given myself like a 3-hour window to kind of catch it. I do set it for slightly longer time depending on when in the day it is that I'm working. So within 3 hours, I do look at my actions and items that are screaming out at me, or prompting me to decide to do something about a particular item. So this would trigger things like a freeze action. It'll trigger a decision based off of the next slice once a particular sprint of work has been completed by the actions by the actions of the agent that are running within the faster session or the faster loop. So these are running concurrently, and this is a really good way to kind of structure your automation as well. It adds another layer of ring fencing, so that I can drop in and out certain tasks that don't get ahead of themselves. So that's to show you that reference, and I'm just going to quickly now jump back to the to my diagram. Too many screens to look at, so I'm just trying to bounce between the several screens that I've got in front of me, just so that I can keep this thing flowing. So yeah, so that's kind of what this initial I'll call it section here, where we're on the session startups, my loops begin. The loop crons are started up. The session starts. It arms all of the hooks that are required for a particular session. So everything that's looking up my handoffs, anything that's looking up my MCP triggering my MCP configs and things like that. So a couple of my skills and my hooks require perplexity and a few other things that I've got connected in. So all of these are started within this initial wake up hook and loop at the start of each session. And then obviously the 2 clocks are triggered as well at the same time, just to make sure that they are running. The build skill loop also wakes up, and as I've explained and kind of showed you, the fast clock is for reversible work at machine speed, and then the slow session that's running on a 3-hour cycle allows me to look ahead, start doing research with regards to I guess not fail points, but integratability. It looks at things like common errors with some of the work that I've implemented. It looks at best fitment. It looks at things like let's say, for example, I have fitted a new feature on a particular slice. It will take that body of work that I've done, or the agent has done, not me, and then go away and start drilling it for common faults, and then also hardening in terms of what I can plug into it to make it more robust and things like that. But then it also looks at my spec, and then make sure that anything that's kind of being planned, patched, and whatever else is actually being progressive towards that end result, rather than just being stuck in an infinite self-refining state where I'm not actually making progress to the end goal. So that's why this is set up with 2 loops, or within the frameworks is set up within 2 loops, and holds 2 different session timers, a slow and a fast, just to kind of capture that I guess, and ring fence that compliance item. Going from that, and obviously both of these run at run in ticks. So in a tick is just essentially running an item at a time, or a task at a time. Ooh. Oh, gosh, I'm telling you, I'm more tired than I think I'm more tired than I actually think that I am, and I hope that this passes, because I've definitely got time today. I want to get quite a lot done today. So yeah, as I said, the tick locks stops 2 drivers running same repo at once. Sorry, that's not what I was saying. I wasn't talking about it. The tick is running a particular task at a time, and then I've also got a tick lock that stops 2 drivers running the same repo at once. The circuit breakers, cap attempts, so files being touched and things like that, and runaway loops. So I kind of consider these as putting the brakes on from something running away from itself. But the tick itself is, okay, what do I need to do next? Am I building, and then just apply just that, nothing else. Don't do anything else. You're just applying what is the next action that needs to be done. So it's consulting the handoff documents, it's consulting the spec, it's consulting the slice Python script that's kind of like assigning the rules for that particular slice. It's checking the directive for that particular branch as well within the repo, as again, everything is slice specific, and then the repo branch is actually labeled like that as well, just to help the agents not kind of get confused in terms of what it's supposed to be working on, or the canonality of the task at hand. But that's been implemented as well. And as I said, if you go back a couple of videos ago, these were all the things that I was doing, manually accepting each and every single step, just so that I can see where some of those bugs were. I could see where some of that friction was, where I'm doing things in a repetitive manner. So I needed to create a new skill to kind of wrap that up in. If I was seeing things that need, better worked as a hook, looped all of that in. And it's kind of just all the building frameworks to get this loop exactly working in a way where I was confident to take more of a backseat within the actual framework itself and stop being a blocker, because everything context wise, everything orchestration wise was sitting on me. And that's a lot to ask for. These agents are smarter than I am. These agents are more capable than I am. They've got more like direct memory than I do. So me sitting there as the person that's kind of coordinating all of these things, it doesn't make the most sense in terms of making the decisions in terms of what I want. Only I know what I want, but in terms of the execution of what I want, I have to have the right agents in the right seats, and that's kind of what this loop helps me to do. And then with time, the more confidence that I'm kind of gaining in the system, and the more I'm kind of seeing better results, less kind of cloudiness, because I've not had to let's say, for example, undo a whole slice worth of work, or kind of revert a whole branch from my Git because it's gone in a completely wrong direction. That's not happened for a while. So there is method to the madness. It is working. It is going in the right direction. So I can't really fault it in that sense. Which is good. So I'm just sitting there taking a big break like the work is done. So so that's essentially just like an overview in terms of what happens at the session startup, which is what I'd just done over on my Claude Code screen. Cool. So then now, just switching back to that Claude Code, you can see that it's now kind of implemented the plan, a plan agent. It's implemented a research agent. It's implemented something called a steer for slice 8. And I'm not going to reveal too much in terms of what all of this is doing, because this is now the next segment that's going to be connected to over the last few days. Again, I have to try not to get ahead of myself in terms of revealing my hand too soon, but I will show you this element of it, which is so hopefully this you can see. So as some of you know, I initially started this particular project that I'm working on. Has several layers to it. Oh gosh, this has gone absolutely massive. So I'm going to show you, obviously there's you can see two different models showing you the same thing, but hopefully you can see the method to the madness here, and you can kind of appreciate what it is that I've been, I guess, trying to do. So I started this initially in Obsidian, but you can see like this lag is real time. The same way that's lagging for you, it's lagging for me, in terms of these are all my particular conversations, things like that, and notes. I've implemented a lot of relationship matrices and similarity matrices and stuff like that within Python, just to make sure that they're all connected, weighted, and create all of the edge matrix in the correct way, according to what I want to be able to do with this data. But this breaks down navigationally in terms of as soon as I click on one of these, click on a project, this is going to end up breaking. Okay, yeah, cool. It's lagging. There's so much data in here. It's going to end up lagging. But essentially what would happen here, or what should happen here, but it's frozen, is that it should open up. Right, I'm going to have to force close that. It should open up. It should open up the conversation or whatever else, or whatever that note context is, and allow me to kind of dive a bit deeper into it. But the way that I wanted to use that data and then use that and model that data, I ended up realizing that Obsidian isn't going to be the right platform for me to do that. It got me so far, but I had to obviously do a lot of I guess manipulation to those nodes before getting them over into Obsidian, just to get the filters and the tags and stuff like that correct to actually visually represent what I wanted to represent. I've instead managed to kind of replicate exactly what I wanted to do, and you can see like this is not lagging in any way. It's got exactly the same data count, if not more. If not more than what was in Obsidian. But it actually allows me the... So let me just go into this a bit further. So the relationship matrix work in the exact way that I want. I'm able to navigate this and pinpoint exact same in the exact relationships that I want. I can filter certain things, kind of eliminate all of that noise, and it's so snappy in the working. I can go in and all of this is adding and ingesting real-time data at the same time, like, and this is perfect for what I'm going to be using it for. And this is going to basically be the hub of the system that I'm building. And the fact that it's now this snappy, to the point where you've just seen Obsidian just loading up, the rendering is taking so long, the clicking onto a node, I'm not getting this snappy a feedback. Filtering isn't like this at all. So I've managed to replicate this and build a bespoke version that's fit for purpose and fit for what I want it to be able to do. And then from here, I'm actually going to be able to feed my intelligence layer on top of this. So all of this is actually now happening with several kind of Python calculations and things like that. And then the ingest layers all running live, so that all of my notes, whether it's from my my phone, my online LLMs, my journal, my notions, whatever it is that I'm putting in here, all the data's going in and all the relationship matrices are working exactly how I want them to, which is brilliant. So that was number one. I'm now going to get off that because I said I'm not here to kind of reveal my hand with regards to what I'm building at this stage. I want to show you guys the evolution in terms of my approach, my frameworks, my the principles that I'm following, and then once it's all built, once it's all ring fenced and it all comes together, obviously if you've been following along or whatever else, you'll be able to see the building blocks and whatnot, but the whole system will make sense. But again, that was an achievement that I was trying to kind of get done maybe 3, 4, 5 days ago. But again, streaming and talking through what I was doing at the same time was proven difficult to do and be productive while I'm narrating exactly what it is that I'm doing at the time. So just to kind of quickly flash back to what's this thing? Claude Code. So the agent's running away now on this loop autonomously. It's doing its thing in the background. I don't need to touch it, right? And I won't need to touch it up until there is a clear decision that requires my help, and that's it. So I'm leaving it alone to do its thing. In fact, hang on. Frozen recommendation A render Git blah, blah, blah. Right, cool. So that one actually did need my decision to release that. Just to create a one-way door for the orchestration in terms of what this next bit of my system is doing. So you just want to flash back to green, I think. Oh, good. Right. Better. Right. So this is what happens when you take a couple of days out. You become a bit rusty. So yeah. So just to kind of go forward with this and continue with the explanation, I'm now going to go into section 2 or layer 2 of my autonomous loop and kind of just explain what that's doing, and then do a show and tell, show you exactly what that is touching, what that is, what it means, and yeah, hopefully you can take away a couple of things from here. Maybe you've seen things like this on Twitter or on other YouTube channels, but you're wondering how it actually works. This is the how it works part. So that first step is my conductor, which reads the slice.py, so py tick. What does that mean? So my conductor is a thin conductor. It holds no memory, it writes no code, it just reads the next action and dispatches one phase. It's basically like a traffic controller rather than the actual worker. All it's doing is consulting this slice loop.py in terms of what's been agreed or what's been frozen within the planning phase. So this is after me being grilled, and that's just basically going through the peer review stage following this initial the initial planning phase that's kind of happening on this slower 3-hour loop in terms of looking ahead and whatnot. Once something has been decided, I'll then be grilled in terms of just, okay, Clay, what do you want to do with this? We've got 2 options here. We've got this approach and these are the benefits. We've got this approach, these are the benefits. Or if you want to do something completely different, let me know. So we'll go through that iteration. And then the output of that grill me session is a plan that's then peer reviewed by a peer review agent. We then do gap analysis, benchmark it against few things within Perplexity just to do a deep research on it. And again, all of that's happening more on not on a slower clock, but there are agents constantly running and doing and getting these bits of data so that when that plan comes back, it's quite robust in terms of, all of the common faults, all of the gotchas and things like that. And this is all benchmarked again off of compatibility with the previous slice's work. Unless you're on slice 1 and there's nothing beforehand, but yeah, so you get the point. So that's what the conductor is doing in this loop, is just reading the slice work package, and then directing the traffic. Basically, it just controls the traffic, tells the workers what they should be doing, what they should be working on. And it's a low cost agent. There's nothing that's kind of crazy that's running here. It's just reading a file and then actioning that tick. So then it goes into this decision matrix. So what kind of action, and then the reducer decides. So what is my reducer? So this is the one piece that's actually allowed to change the system state. Everything funnels through it. So there's no single source of truth and no hidden state floating around in the chat. It all flows through this this decision matrix, and again, this allows the files, the hooks, the skills, tools, the agents to kind of work on the correct thing, because there's particular ring fencing around what can happen to each file, all depending on the settings. So the Claude settings JSON file, and other ring fences that I'll come to later on in the stream. So from here, the fresh phase agent is enforced. Once that phase agent is enforced, well, the purpose of, in fact, even before I talk about what it actually does, the fresh agent is a single purpose agent dispatches to do one job: to pick the slice, plan it, write the tests, build it, and it's only used once and then thrown away. Like it's not something that's kind of like got a memory or churn or whatever else, or I'm gonna have to worry about context utilization or whatever. It's literally just think about it as a contractor. I'm just getting it in just to do a specific job and then getting rid of you. That's it. So that's that bit done. And then where was I? I've got too many things like that I'm trying to track on the screen as well. Okay, cool. So the option A, reading, high, and then resolving the fork, running a freeze agent. So I was just checking. I was checking where the system was up to in the background. Cool. So this structured JSON is obviously a result of this fresh agent. Any rules that it defines and whatnot are created here. And then the slice .py is then also consulted and written, but only by the mutator, right? And the mutator agent is the only agent that's actually allowed to change anything within that particular loop, right? So all it's doing is checking that the test actually has the right guardrails, that they'd actually fail if the code was wrong. It stops any empty tests or anything like that kind of breaking through, and that's that side of things here. And then if I go, should be an arrow here. I don't know why I didn't put the arrow real quick. Got guns. Okay, there we go. Yeah, cool. So then the other side of the of this reducer in the middle, because obviously I went down to the right hand side, it also can dictate whether something needs to idle, resume, audits due, whether there's a handoff due, and things like that as well. So this is where all of these hooks and other things where it's feeding live data that can influence what the conductor needs to be aware of or what the agent should be doing or writing. So let's say, for example, the conductor reads the particular slice or whatever, or the current state, and the token usage is above the threshold that I've set. That action for triggering the handoff will come as a result of this particular check. You know, where is the token utilization currently? Does an action need to be taken? Does a handoff need to be done? And then all of that will be triggered, boom, and then the conductor would obviously then trigger the right agent to write that handoff, and that particular layer of work is obviously happening in itself. So once and this is just kind of like an overview and the main controls that are happening. It's not the loop itself. These are just the controls that are within that particular loop. Now, going down a little bit, let me just make sure that you guys have got this on screen. You do. Right, so the actual phase pipeline itself, in terms of the actual phase journey. So obviously we've talked about a resume, steering, right? So the conductor, so there's a steer element to this. For steering, and this is now where I actually nominate the model that I'm going to use for each of the specific actions. So steering, what is the steering loop? So for steering is essentially what it says. It says on the tin. It's very similar to the conductor, with regards to just making sure that things are going in the right direction, and the actions actually being steered, or the cadence and the sequence of actions is actually being steered according to the plan. The research agent, or the research function, that's again being done in using a Sonnet model, but a Sonnet model that's connected to my Perplexity Pro MCP, and this is just so that it can get high quality deep search, but get the results back fast in terms of context. It's got enough understanding because it's just summarizing the research findings, but again, lower cost, and I can get it back fairly quickly. And then from that, the plan is then created, and I'm using an Opus model for that. And with regards to each of these, I'm using the top model. So where you just see Sonnet or Opus, or for my build, I'm currently using Inherit, and I've got it set to Fable at the moment. Obviously, just using that while I can, and just testing. So where you've got my planning, the reason why this is set to Opus is just so that I'm getting no fuzziness and no blurred lines, going from a summary back to a robust plan. I don't want to actually drop any of the details. I want a slightly higher competence model to contextualize the research into a plan that's within the spec. I don't want to compromise on that, because even though later on I could deploy some dumber agents or dumber models for lower cost or lower impact work, the plan is everything. So I can't really compromise on that. But then at the same time, I don't want to throw something like a Fable 5 onto that task. Opus is enough. So then the plan that is then frozen and is authorized by myself. It's obviously, we have to go then through that peer review process, and then lock the plan and whatnot, which is what you just saw a second ago, where I had to make a decision based off of a peer review. So I don't know if I've still got that on screen at the moment, but yeah, research was completed recently. It's now currently writing all of the tests and whatnot for slice 10. Let me see. Yeah, prefetch research, plan rendered, office floor, blah blah blah. plan render. Okay, cool. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Yeah. Right. So yes, and then the research came over to me. I then had to decide. So yeah, plan, as you can see here, plan, opus, wrote, plan, blah blah blah. And then I approved an action or a directive here. Told it to go for option A, and then option A it is, and now the agent is actually now running the freeze element of this. So you can see here, this is now running the freeze action. Let me just minimize this. Yeah, so the current action here is that the freeze agent is writing all of the tests that we discussed in the slices above. So that's kind of just a quick, not whistle stop tour, but a quick overview, and it takes us nicely to this particular action here, the freeze. So then from it being frozen, yeah, and it was read only. Yeah, so that's something else that's quite important as well. It was read only until I approved. I need to make sure that this is attached. It doesn't get away, because I am noticing that I am sitting there playing with the mouse and the boxes and whatnot. Cool. So it's frozen, and then once it's frozen, let me move some of these down a bit lower so you can just see, and we've got a bit more space if we want to do anything else with them. Right, so let me just check that I've got the right thing on the screen. Yep. So self-conscious. Cool. So then the build, I'm currently using inherit, and again, as I just touched on a second ago, I'm doing this at the moment. I did have it hard coded to have the build using opus, but I've got it set to inherit, and then I've got another few Python scripts that are running that enforce this to actually use Fable, with a few ring fences around some of my prompts to avoid it dropping down to 4.8, and try and kind of like dumb down my approach to certain things at times. So that's respecting the model that I've actually got selected in the chat. So I'm currently using Fable set to high, so the agent, when it gets to the build stage, will pick up the parent agent from the main session, rather than using an agent from, or an agent defined from the actual directive, right? So that's that bit. So obviously it'll continue doing this particular cycle and whatever else. Once it's finished the build, obviously the gates and things that we discussed earlier, in terms of the slice and the reducer, all of those tests that are written at that stage, obviously could then make up the gate, and it won't pass that gate until all of the tests are actually green, and the agent that's writing the code is not the agent that's actually responsible for passing or lifting the gate. It doesn't have that functionality, and again, this helps stop an agent kind of getting carried away and building on to the next slice, or kind of false or phantom accepting, or providing shoddy work that doesn't quite meet your requirements. and presenting to you as something that's done. And even just with me running Fable at the moment, you can see that some of my agents, if I open up the scripts, there are several things where it's like, okay, fail, 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 but it will continue to, okay, that's a poor example because nothing failed in the freeze. I'll hopefully show you once I get to something that requires building, which should be in, let me see what the context window is currently on, 122k. It's probably going to be during the next handoff once it starts rendering the action that it's working on. And then I'll be able to show you what happens with some of those fails and how they are picked up, how they are actioned and handled. So let me, moving on from the sorry, I just lost my trail of thought a second there. Cool. So the gate, once that's all done, it's then presented to me as a prompt to just kind of summarize. And this is what's been done. It's, and then that tick kind of iterates and iterates and iterates. Once we get to something that requires my attention, or halt to human, this is all feeding back to where is it? I did mention this earlier. I've lost my trail of thought again. It's then logged back to my conductor and then my slow session processes as well. So some of these things are still linked into my slower sessions rather than the fast ones. Definitely I'm tired. But yeah, my slow sessions rather than my fast ones, just so that I can make sessions, I can sign off any kind of made slices, and then things can be committed up to the main branch. So then this continues to go round and round and round, and I've spoken about the safety architecture and why it's in here already. The tick locks, verification gates, the bijection, the mutation, TDD, protect, repo, handover, token, temp, the blast radius caps as well. So in terms of not allowing one single agent to be able to do anything that's destructive enough to have a blast radius that takes out, let's say for example, a whole slice worth of work, just because the number of tasks or how small each individual agent's work packages is tiny enough so that if it does something wrong, or something that breaks, there are enough stop points to catch it, and the impact to that error can be cleaned up fairly quickly without messing up a whole sprint of work. And you can imagine that, if you had one agent that's just doing something like we all were back in the day, just launching one agent or two agents to do something, and it goes down the wrong path, you pretty much having to start back from square one in most cases. And that's the beauty of doing it this way. And that's essentially it. I don't want to kind of bore you guys into detail with all the detail, and kind of just practically spent an hour doing a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm gonna get off that and kind of get more into just working away. There might be moments where I'm quite quiet and whatnot, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right, so this is actually doing its thing, and while it is doing its thing, I want to work on a couple other things in the background as well. start laying some groundworks for the current project, and then triggering off a few items in another project that I'm close to deploying. That's the kind of beauty of it. I did say that I wanted to speak about Fable a bit more, and I want to play with that a bit more today and tomorrow. That, yeah, colleague of mine asked me earlier, like, what's it been able to do for you? It's more just the accuracy, but I've not let it go completely crazy on my code base just yet. Just because of the sheer cost and things like that. But yeah, there are a couple of projects on my long list of projects. There's probably, let me see if I can count here. There are 31 projects that I've currently got within my core project base that I need to complete, and hence why I am building out this whole guess play management tool, for lack of better words, because I need to be able to kind of better utilize my time, but being able to see where all of these things are, the relationship between them all is going to be a massive game changer for me, because I can filter progress, I can filter on so many different metrics now, and then how I'm going to use this data is the key thing. Kind of unblocking, so I shouldn't be ever in a position where I've got 30 projects in the backlog and I'm here scratching my head as to where should I start and whatever else. So yeah, these are the building blocks to get into where I want to get to. Yeah, beautiful. This is the beauty of it. Right, where was I? I see myself getting distracted. And I need to go down and get a drink in a second. Quite. Right. Focus mute. multitasking at this moment in time was proving a bit more difficult. Just trying to read and just orient myself with a couple of things. So I've got a project open with Codex on something else that I'm working on. That I just wanted to just quickly run through some tests on, just to check on progress, see how things were going. And then at the same time, I want to just try and focus on this personal build at the same time. Yeah, so I just want to, as all of this is obviously running autonomously, I'm comfortable with where we're at. I'm about to trigger a session handoff. From there, I will there's something I actually want to use for Fable 5, so I'll trigger that in a second as well. I'm actually going to quickly run and get a bottle of water. Put this on BRB. Oh yeah, sorry about that. I'm back. Right, so the freezer's running, and I finally got my examples of a couple of failed tasks here. So it run a slice 10 test to verify that all the red, to verify all the red, the fail red, it failed. I diagnosed the cause of the failing reds. Obviously that's gone through, and it continuing the right. So the fails are actually flagging in real time as well, which is good. That's all happening on the, yeah, so I'm just looking at the finished tasks. It is logging all the fails in real time. But as I said, in terms of my the autonomous loop and how that's cycling, which screen in terms of this, that loop will go round and round. So even if it hits a fail, it hits a roadblock, all of those items will be picked up, and it will continue to iterate until those tests are passed, before it hands off. And that's the beauty of it working in this way, where the agent that's actually responsible for doing the build is not the same agent that's responsible for checking and steering and kind of conducting where some of these stage gates are, and checking whether the slice has actually been completed. So I'm going to let that continue doing its thing on this particular project. I am going to open up something slightly different. So not something slightly different. There's a different session that I actually want to work from. So I'm just gonna open that up and I go in, and then I'll flick back and see. We'll see where we are at. Just as it. I think so. All right, let's give that a try. I'm hoping that you're saying the right thing. Okay, cool. There's a couple of things I want to test. Fable rather, for my perspective. Got left on my. Oh, so I've just let Fable run loose in a project that I've been working on for a while. So this one I can show you just because it's not a throwaway thing, but it's 90% completed. I've just asked it to add something new, not new to it, but to review the code base essentially, and do its thing. And that's essentially what we're gonna get. But before it kind of starts all of that, I'm gonna quickly show you a tour of what the actual system is that that I've let it run free on, just so that you can see the before and after, I guess. Yeah, that's the direction we're going to go in, while the other stuff that's kind of quite ring fenced and quite firm in terms of the build directive. Let's see what it comes up with this. I'm just gonna launch the current product as it is, so that you can see it, and then we can track what Claude ends up. Sorry, not what Claude, but what Anthropic's Fable 5 ends up doing with my system. So fire this up, and then we can go from there. So it's just starting up fast API with Unicorn. So I'm just waiting for the local host to trigger up, and then yeah, then we can hit go, and then I can show you. Oh, there's a package that is waiting to install from running. The playwright wasn't installed. Sorry, there's a couple of errors that is cleaning up in the background. Okay, cool. So I think I've showcased this before. Don't know, may not have. But yeah, just in short, it is yeah, it's a project that I will try and push and put out there, and likely publish. It's not something that I'm kind of too shy about sharing at this particular point. It has got some features that are quite bespoke, that incorporate a few things that I can kind of commercialize and incentivize. But yeah, it's essentially a prospecting tool that I built a couple of probably about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe. I can't remember when I actually started this. But it's a let me zoom out of this on Cursor so you can on a browser so you can actually see. Really enjoying this playlist today. All right, cool. So hopefully you can see a little bit more without seeing too much and whatever else. So yeah, this is its current state and it works. As I said, it's 80% there. All of the functionality is in. It's essentially pulling businesses. I've got several APIs running on this. It's pulling businesses in. So creating basically a CRM for me for companies that I can then do outreach to. So for example, click on a random one. It's actually got a website. So here, small business accounting solutions limited. It will pull all their details, pull all of the address, website, whatever else, all the key contacts, and then from here I can run a full audit. Once I run a full audit, I can then generate a mock-up as well. All from here. It all works. Markup queued. Once that's done, I can then do the outreach and whatever else like that. Right, this is all functioning and completely operational. I've just not launched it yet. As with many of my projects, it's just that final 10% where I need to do just the polishing up and deployment of the product, which is where it ends up just sitting for me for a while, just because I'm like, okay, cool, I want to just push it with something a bit more adventurous. And again, I will go back to my I will go back to take me back. I'll go back to this in terms of just my priority to being able to actually follow up and follow through on all of these actions, items, and things that I actually need to complete and ship, because as I said, there's no reason for me not to, and with what I'm gonna do with this bad boy, yeah, it's really been encouraging me, because the amount I'm actually gonna manage to get done is just gonna be crazy. Just with what I've got in mind, with how I know, with how I'm planning to put all of this together, is going to be a real difference maker with regards to me actually being able to ship things. But you shall see, and that's kind of, again, another kind of side reason or personal reason why I've started this channel, in terms of recording and documenting and having something that's actually out there, that's real, that's a real place for me to dump and keep accountability in a public forum. Because I know that every single day or every evening where I don't stream, if I don't press record, if I'm sitting here working, the day before yesterday and the day before that, I felt quite guilty for it. I sat here till 3 a.m. and I was like, no, I'm so focused on just like progressing and getting things done, I didn't record it. So then it just feels like it's not like it felt like those hours didn't count, but I know that those hours mattered because it allowed me to complete something and progress something a lot further in the space of 3-4 hours, where I'm not having to talk and narrate and have to like worry about what I'm saying on camera and making sure that all the words flow correctly and whatever else. Being able to actually just sit there and work away while I've got my music playing and I'm working at a pace that suits me. And I've got several things playing. I think I was watching the NBA finals at the same time I was something else over here. You know, it's freedom, isn't it? And I think when I'm comfortable and working within my own kind of, I've got several kind of things distracting me, I'm able to channel all of that and focus. But when I've got to sit here and talk to this camera and talking to this microphone while maintaining progress, it's like I end up getting stuck. But again, I'm really excited about this. Open up a node graph and whatever else. Why is this something that's exciting? Building this and putting all of this together, putting all of the logic behind it together, putting all of the connections and the recency and the relevance and the weighting and the similarity complexes and all of the mapping that's gone into it. It's something that's actually going to help me. So yeah, it's something that's actually going to help me personally with how my brain operates and with how I look at things that I've got to do. And it's going to shape bringing together quite a lot of my systems personally. So I was really glad getting this outside of the Obsidian frameworks, and being able to put it and make it something that's completely bespoke, something that's completely just personal to myself. I'm not who sees it, because showing it to you guys doesn't hinder the product that I'm going to attach to it. If I want to then kind of commercialize anything, I'm still able to do that. So yeah, I'm really excited with regards to the direction this is going to take my I guess my engineering, my system building, my logic, my prioritization, my fluidity, multitasking, my monitoring, my everything. So yeah, that's the plan, that's the hope, that's the vision, that's the idea. It's gonna be a really exciting time over the next few weeks, just kind of chipping away at what this thing can actually do. or I'm just going back to this other project a sec, because it has come back to me a couple of decisions, a major decision gate, registered. Okay, cool. So one thing to know, the 3 2 were dishonest. One attempt committed the PyTest skip placeholder with frozen values stuffed into a doc string to fool the by. See this? You see this? You see this? This is exactly what I was talking about earlier with regards to the governance, where agents will try and literally cheat the system. So you can see it here where it's caught it out, and the freeze agent caught it, where one attempt committed the PyTest skip placeholder with the frozen values stuffed into a doc string to fool the bijection linter. A skip test is green, not red, which was rejected. 2 attempts fabricated its result, so 14 red tests over an effectively empty file, and overwrote the original 375 line plan artifact with its own summary, rejected. I restored the plan verbatim from context. An attempt freed a scope cut, one of the deliverable model raised, and delivered the real corpus with 14 red tests, 0 skip. The bijection linter was clean after I rejected. So the audit, manual pass, the auditor's 2-way lane is still known. It's still the known no coverage defect. Returned involves where the loop sits. Park the clean at resume 4/9. Both crones are armed. The fast ticks and the slow ticks. The fast clock fired, running 1 tick. Note my own context is past the harness handoff. Okay, cool. So this is now, we need to trigger a handoff. So the kind of executed. We're on way past the durable handoff. Plus the temp working copy to resume. Just start fresh. Start the session. Rearm. Okay, cool. So I'll just trigger this to continue handoff. So all I do is go in. I'm obviously working with the right project. Just check the folder here, and then just say continue from handoff. Then that will do its thing. I'm just gonna quickly set that, pin it, get this, right, I just need to resume the dispatch. I just need to run the cron delete. It's done. Just gonna park that down the bottom, check where this is at. Right, this was running committed, /9. About, I don't want to carry on from /9. Right, cool. So that's done. Handoff, user profiles, explicit bash. Cool. What is this? Okay. Cool. Done. Chrome delete is done. Brilliant. I'm doing all of this, and you guys can't even see what screen I'm on. I suppose it's not a bad thing. Alright, cool. So I've run Chrome delete on there. Setting this to continue from handoff. The 2 Chrome sessions at different loops have spun up and started. Two a.m. One is 2 hours. Cool. Got a nice little break coming up. Oh, hi there, Delight. Bessie. Yeah, sorry, I'm just working on a few things here today. Apologies for you've caught me kind of like stream. I was in my own little world here. Um, but yeah, so essentially, I'm working on a couple of different things. I've showcased this my autonomous my autonomous build loop that's kind of just helping me work through my orchestration in terms of just making sure that I've got a couple of clocks that are running on the project that I'm building, and then all of the different skills agents that are being called up and whatever else, and then just kind of just managing them while they're doing their work. But yeah, the several projects that were showcased. The thing that you were looking at on the screen there is just kind of like a core hub or core network of all of my my thoughts, my notes, my projects, my interactions with AI and things of that nature. Just as a global view, so that I can then use them in a framework to connect to other things that I'm working on. So it's just a full spectrum of everything that I'm kind of got going on. I've set up like prioritization. I've set up weighting connections and stuff like that, mostly in Python, just so that I've got full control of everything that it does, and then I can monitor it in real time. So it's ingesting in real time. It's got all of the relationships and stuff like that built in. I had originally done similar in Obsidian, but if I open it up, you'll see the issue. And I think obviously a lot of people already use Obsidian, but you can see like it's nowhere near as versatile or complex. One, obviously you can see how long it's taken just to load up the nodes and stuff, and then it starts, like right now this is crashing. It's completely slow. Zooming in, it's not as smooth as if it wasn't working like that. So I can't even click into a single node. So I've got all of this just working within a 3D model, just as a live loop. Any conversations that I'm having with AI, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's my notes in Notion, everything is just going into this central hub. And then I'm going to end up connecting all of this to my like business frameworks, things that I want to get done. Show you, let's say for example, my outreach. I think I've killed the process for that a bit earlier before you joined. But it'll help me kind of just make sure that things get delivered. So if I'm now if I want to track, let's say for example, last month, what were my priorities that I missed, I'm able to kind of really connect all of those dots and then have an intelligence layer built into that. And that's kind of what the next steps are for this. So it took me probably about 4, 5, 6 days just to compile everything together, just to get all of the relationships right, to get all of the all the weighting and the signals and things like that correct. But you can see in the background, like all of these little nodes and stuff, that's all detail. So I can continue to zoom in and in and in, and I can click on any of them. If I click on this, it'll tell me what the relationships are, what it's connected to and stuff like that, where it links in the hierarchy, what was the original conversation that triggered it, and all of that. So I've been mapping all of this out, just in terms of, I started off with a batch of like 30 conversations, and then I slowly ingested and put everything in there. And yeah, so it's going to help me in terms of just building out other things that I want to do, being able to prioritize myself and kind of have my brain, not my